Good evening, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. It is my great pleasure to welcome so many members of our community here this evening, as well as Hartwick students, faculty, and staff here to our Oneonta Common Council Candidate Forum. So this forum is sponsored by the Hartwick Institute of Public Service, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan regional political institute focused on three key pillars: state and local government, civic engagement, and legal studies. So the goal of the Institute is really to inspire the next generation of public servants, create avenues for meaningful careers in public service, and to serve as a hub of innovation and collaboration between New York communities with the goal of strengthening our democracy. So I believe that this forum directly contributes to these goals, and it's taken on an even greater significance in light of our voter registration drive that we held on campus. So this semester we registered 163 students to vote, and 132 of those students registered here in Oneonta. I know that this event will serve as a great way for our students to learn more about the crucial issues that are affecting our area and to meet candidates that are vying for their votes in the upcoming general election on November 7th. So we hope that these efforts will not only lead to a greater voter participation in the 2023 general elections, but also that they'll really focus and foster a sense of lifelong civic engagement among our students. Before I turn it over to our candidates, I do just want to take a moment and thank a number of organizations and individuals for their hard work in helping to organize the forum this evening. So there are a number of offices and departments on campus that helped make these events possible, including the Political Science Department, the Sociology, Criminology, and Human Services Department, and the Office of Civic Engagement. I also just want to take a moment and thank so much my co-directors, Professors Laurel Elder and Matt Chick, for all of their help. We want to thank Chris Spiewak, as well as Damon and James and his team for their excellent work taking care of all of our sort of audio and visual needs. And we also want to thank Darlene Kampf and her staff for providing the catering that will follow the event this evening. And then we would also just like to thank the Otsego County Board of Elections as well, too, especially Christina Morrison and Jacob Gillette for all of their help in helping us register our students to vote. And then finally, a big thanks to the Community Foundation of Otsego County, who provided us with a very generous grant that allowed us to make this evening possible. Our list of thanks, though, would not be complete without recognizing the enormous contribution of our students, so many of whom you all can see, including Michael Christian, Hannah Anderson, Faith Johnson, Kalia Cawthorn, Olivia Ansong, Kara Swartwood, Kalia Kennedy, Jada Vaughn, Sarah Matambura, and Ethel Kendall Price, just to name a few of the many, many students that helped to register our students to vote, to make posters promoting the election, and to assist with the preparation for this debate. And then last but certainly not least as well, we would really like to extend a big thanks to our candidates, Lynn Carson, Emily Falco, Don Garrison, Scott Harrington, Daniel Rorick, Katie Lipari-Shu, and Bryce Wooden for their willingness to participate in the candidate forum this evening. Thank you all so much. Please join me in welcoming our candidates to Hartwick College. Before we begin, I just want all of our audience members, as well as the candidates as well, to know that we did invite all of the Oneonta Common Council candidates that will appear on the ballot to attend the event this evening. So unfortunately, Luke Murphy did reach out to us, but he had a prior commitment. He sends his regrets that he could not be with us tonight. And Cecilia Walsh-Rousseau, unfortunately, just got sick today, so she was unable to join us. But she did send me a statement that I will read on her behalf. So the format for this event this evening is very simple. I'm just going to give each of our candidates a brief amount of time to introduce themselves and just to quickly discuss their vision for the office or the issues that they believe are most important. And then after that, we have several prepared questions, but we're really just interested in turning it over to the audience as well too, so that you all can ask questions yourselves. There are two ways to ask a question, so you should have gotten note cards on your way in. If you want to write your question down on a note card, whenever it's complete, just hold it up and one of our student volunteers will come pick it. Or we also, of course, have a microphone that we will be passing around if you prefer to ask your question in that format. So just so we have enough time for everyone to speak, because we do have a very big lineup this evening, I would just ask that all of the candidates keep their remarks to roughly 3 minutes for the opening statements. We do have 2 student volunteers. They will hold up cards letting you know when you have 2 minutes remaining, 1 minute remaining, and when to wrap up. And so I thought that we could sort of just proceed numerically by ward. So Cecilia would have started. I will wait and read her remarks at the end. So maybe Dan Rorick, if we could begin with you, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So I'd like to thank Hartwick College and their Institute for Public Service. Thank you. Didn't even realize that was an organization until tonight, or until a few nights ago. But thank you for setting this up. I appreciate it. This is very much something that needs to happen more often, I think, especially in local elections. Obviously, my name is Dan Rorick. I'm running for Third Ward Common Council. I'm running basically on behalf of some concerned citizens, concerned residents, and because of my own concerns where the city is going as far as economics and just in general with the state of the city infrastructure, things like that. I think there could be some better ways of going about handling the big decisions that are coming down the pike. I'm reading some concerning things in the papers about tax hikes potentially coming next year. So things like that I would like to address, as well as things regarding public safety and the growing homeless epidemic that seems to be plaguing the city at this time. Things like that I would like to see cleaned up and addressed, and if I get on the city council, I'm going to work work as hard as I can to hopefully reverse a lot of these trends. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Dan. Lynn, if you want to take it away.
Well, good evening. And yes, I would like to first thank the Hartwick College Institute of Public Service. I would like to thank Matt and Laurel and Zach for hosting this. I appreciate this forum. It's a little bit different. I'd also like to thank all of those Fifth Ward residents that I see that are out there. And that's you folks that are in Hartwick College. If you don't realize it, you're in the Fifth Ward. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. You may not know, but I am a retired fire captain with the city of Oneonta. I did 26 years. I went on to be a county legislator for 1 term. I wanted to understand how the city fit inside county government. And then my ambitions were to go long-term into city council. I believe my background as a long-term employee, plus I also served on the airport commission for 6 years before I got on council. I think that has helped me understand how government works at a different, besides an employee. I think that's a good experience to have. When I was first elected with Katie and Emily, well, not Emily, sorry, Katie and Scott, was 2020. So we started in January of 2020. Our city manager resigned less than 30 days into our post. So that changed the form of government that we were in. And then of course, COVID started March 13th. So I think this particular city council has had many, many different challenges to overcome. I think that COVID was also a good point for those that are in government to understand the critical role that Hartwick College and SUNY Oneonta play in our community. And that's why our previous mayor, we started to work on it, but it just kind of fell off. But we are now very serious with the help of Laurel and Matt and Zach, is having that connection from campus to community. I think it's imperative that we make this connection from campuses back into the community and make that connection. So we have many, many different issues Dan talked on. Some of them with the budget. There's also the parking garage, if you guys haven't noticed that one. Parking in general. When I met with some Hartwick College students earlier, they mentioned about our streets, some potholes. So we have some issues, and I look forward to your questions tonight.
Thanks so much, Lynn. If we could hold our applause until the end for all candidates, that would be fantastic.
Thanks
Thank
for
you all,
getting me in
though.
trouble already.
Yes, yeah. Don, if you'd like to take it away, thank you.
Well, well, I would like to thank Hartwick and the students here. I would like to thank you guys all for having me. I'm Don Garrison. I am 27. I am a business owner. I am just a regular citizen of the community. I work a full-time job, and I am tired of the city government being overregulated. I am tired of nothing being done to address any of the problems with our infrastructure. I am tired of the spending on just miscellaneous stuff that does not need to be spent for. I am tired of nobody on the council stomping their feet or anything about the spending when it gets blown out year after year after year. We have been dipping into our general funds because we are going into debt. The only way to get out of this is prosperity, and the prosperity that I am seeking to bring to Oneonta is by decreasing the regulation that is brought upon all businesses across the board. If we even try to get more than just one factory in here, every factory job has 5 other jobs attached to every factory job. We only got one factory, and that's Corning. And to get more of a community involvement going on in this community would be actually helpful, because there is a big disconnect between the community in the colleges and even the community in like the baseball families when they come here. We have an identity crisis. We do not like to respect the fact that we have college students here. We like to make rules and regulations upon college students, college rentals, and everything else that just really makes it so you don't want to actually come and enjoy this, especially during COVID. And it is really bad for small businesses right now, and is only looking to get worse because they're talking about raising the tax rate here. And I don't know if anybody here has tried to buy a house or even looked into it. Your mortgage payment will be the same as your tax payment once it's escrowed. So if you're looking at a $750 a month payment, you're looking about that in taxes every month. And it is ridiculous. And if you want to talk about low-income housing in the city, try to go ahead and build something. By the time you go through the permitting process, paying for the permits, paying for the licensed electrician, the licensed plumber, everything else, and then you even have to pay for the licensed plumber or the licensed electrician in the city that's through the city to be registered by the city, and then you have to pay for another electrician to go ahead and check his work. It's ridiculous how many hoops you have to jump through just to build something or remodel something. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Next, we'll hear from Katie Lapari-Shu.
Hi. So I sort of naturally project, let me know. I'm Katie Lapari-Shu. I'm an Oneonta native. I am almost 37 years old. I am on city council because my former council member, council representative was resigning, and I've wanted to do this since I was a little kid. So it's kind of crazy to me that I'm here and doing it, but yeah, so she was resigning, and I said with dread in my heart, like, oh no, who's my rep gonna be because of the uncertainty? And my husband said, why not you? And so, why not me? So I ran, and as Len alluded to, I had no idea what was coming. It was certainly not what I expected with COVID and everything, but I feel like, so I represent the 4th Ward, which is in the center of the city. I live right on Center Street. We're surrounded by a lot of the student housing that Don was talking about, and I've watched my neighborhood change over my 37 years. I really want to focus on creating vitality in my neighborhood again, creating a place where, you know, people feel neighborly toward each other. I want to focus on making Oneonta a place where students who come want to stay after they graduate, which I know, like, I see some head shaking right now. Maybe it's not exactly that. We have some work to do, you know, and one of the things that was unexpected about city government for me is kind of how slowly everything moves. And so one term is kind of not enough really to do everything that you go in thinking you're going to do. So you really have to stay determined, you know, stay true to why you ran. And I think that takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to continue to do it, you know, voters willing. It's been probably the best part of it has been getting to know people in my neighborhood on a name and face basis, seeing people out, talking to people about what's going on in the community. And being on council gives you the opportunity to actually do something with your opinion rather than just kind of yell it at a wall. So, although sometimes it does feel like you're doing that, but it's been fun, and it's really an honor to serve. And I think I wanted to say that piece about why not me, because I think it's important to hear that sometimes even people in situations like being an elected government official, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome. But if I can do it, so can you. So you should run for city government. And I'll talk more about boards and commissions later. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Katie. And then next up, we'll hear from Scott Harrington.
Thank you. Scott Harrington, 6th Ward. I have one of the most passionate wards in the city of Oneonta. 6th Ward is a very vocal ward. So when somebody says that somebody doesn't stomp their feet and put their hands on the desk, then he hasn't shown up to enough meetings. Anybody that watches what I do, I'm very passionate. I'm here for the people. I'm a true representative in the way that I do fight for the people. I fight for their interest. It's not about what I want. It's about what they want. I am just merely a placeholder for the voice of the 6th Ward. Secondly, this council has had a lot come at us real quick. When we came on, as Councilmember Carson said, COVID was a big thing that hit everybody hard. Even those of Hartwick population know the restrictions that we were through directly affected the city. You guys play a big part in the city because of not just from being here, but the amount of monies you guys spend hanging out and doing stuff. And I think we do fight a battle. The college is fighting a battle trying to get people here to come, and we're trying to fight the same battle getting people to come here and also want to live here. Like I said, I'm also running as I got 2 kids. I got one that's getting ready to go to college. And she's a senior this year. In fact, she's off on her swimming sectionals tonight. So if you see me check my phone real quick, I'm just seeing how she's doing. Proud dad moment. I have a younger daughter that's 9 years old. So I just born and raised here in the city of Oneonta. I did have other careers outside of here. I did police, fire, EMS. I was in the trades. I did plumbing, HVAC, and worked on cars. So I have a vast knowledge. I also was running, at a young age, I was blessed enough to be able to be in management of working with people and having a high budget. I was also on the county board for a term in my 20s. I'm old enough to know better, and I'm too young to slow down. So that's the ripe age of 47, in case you're ever wondering. My knees, hips, and back, because of my past careers, are telling me to slow down, but I will not do that. I'd rather answer questions than try to talk about myself, so I'm just going to stop there and let somebody else talk.
Thanks so much, Scott. And then next up, we'll hear from Bryce Wooden.
I'll just project, it's fine. Hello.
Oh, it
everybody.
is good to talk into the mic just so the audio can capture it. Yeah.
Okay. It's just with my bending. Hello, everybody. My name is Bryce Wooden. I'm actually running for the 7th Ward. It's my first time going into running for anything for city council or any city position, so I'm very excited for this potential opportunity. I was also born and raised in Oneonta, New York, and raised here, came back after going to college. So it's great to be back in the community and really, seeing what's going on in the community to help. I think the big thing for the intro is the why. And I see a lot of great audience members and students in the room. The reason why I really want to go for this and go into local government actually is based off personal experience. I actually had an experience 2 years ago where because of our local NAACP, I spoke at a social justice event after the events of George Floyd that really shocked our country and our nation for a lot of people, and traumatic, obviously. And I spoke my personal experiences for something that my family went through in 2002 that I wanted to see change and see things be differently so that no one's hurt in the future. So after doing that, I was approached by the mayor at the time, Mayor Herzig, Gary Herzig, and Dave Bliss, who is a county rep in Otsego County, to work on two community police boards for Otsego County and also for the city of Oneonta, and help with those negotiations when it comes to community relations and coming up with programming and just seeing what can the city and county do to be better, to make our community members feel safe, make sure that if there are any logistics in policing that are not updated, that we update them right away and make sure that we're at the right place, right? Because when you join this community, you sign up to be safe. Public safety is usually the number one thing that I see, and that's what we all sign up for in this room. So that's my why. That's like the big reason why I really want to give my all to the 7th Ward and create that community. I also work at SUNY Oneonta for the last 5 years, and I have a lot of amazing students through a program called EOP, which helps first-generation college students with college navigation, and also supervise our Black Student Union and many multicultural groups. That's important because I see my students, when they come to Oneonta from many different parts of the state, they sometimes want things to be better. And I think it's important for those voices to be heard and create that community for our students who are becoming members of our community and want to be a part of it and want to be enriched into it. So for the 7th Ward, I think that's huge because we're near Center City, and a lot of our weekends, it's empty. So I think that's a big thing for us to create volunteer opportunities for our students to shine and also for community members to feel safe.
Thanks so much, Bryce. Sean, is that you down on the end? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Please go ahead, Sean. If we could just slide the microphone down, we'll hear from Sean Dwight next.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm also in the 7th Ward, and I am running because I've seen things change and go downhill. But I'm a small business owner in Oneonta. My wife and I live on Ravine Parkway. We can see the campus. She's not here with us tonight because she's taking care of our 2 foster children right now. We have a 7-year-old boy and a 10-year-old. But community safety and equal application of the zoning and codes. My wife and I have a small business, but we're also investors, and there's been a lot of empty housing. We rented for 2 years of our marriage, been married 21 years, but we bought after the first house, after renting for 2 years, we bought 1 house a year for 18 years, and we bought 2 last year. We're renovating them, not to fix and flip, but to provide housing, because we're getting phone calls constantly. There's not enough vacant rentals, and all of our rentals are occupied. So we're buying more, but the city's giving away houses, and they're forgiving the taxes. And then I saw a statistic, it's about 46% of us in the city of Oneonta are paying 100% of the tax bill. And the city has a lot of vacant land, and nothing's being done with those, developing them, and there's no taxes being collected on them. But houses that my wife and I tried to buy 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, vacant still, and then the city gave them away and forgave, well, one that I tried to buy, forgave the taxes. So that makes no physical sense. So I want financial accountability for the city of Oneonta and about codes. A couple, probably 3 properties we wanted to buy for college student rentals off campus. They had 4 bedrooms. And they said, well, there's not enough off-street parking. You can only have 3 unrelated individuals. We didn't buy those. Somebody else bought them. And they have 4, 5, 6 people. And they're not regulating that yet. I and other people that I know that have property can't rent them to more, so they have an empty bedroom. We are following the rules and others are just getting away with it. But community safety is another thing about the homeless. With our 2 little foster children, young, 7 and 10, there's the mental health crisis, the homeless crisis, and we see people lunging at us, walking down the street, singing to themselves, but I understand they need help, and it's a mental health crisis, but I don't know what's being done to address it. And I would like to get on the Common Council to talk about that, because we don't even feel safe in some of these situations. But they need help, and I don't know yet what the solution is, but I'd like to have a discussion or a debate to talk about community safety, and then the parking, and the financial accountability with downtown, with the city hall. What are we spending money on it? And if we have to spend all this money for another study to say what needs to be done, but nothing gets done after they do the study. So there's a lot, I think, that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. And then next we'll hear from Emily Falco.
I guess I can't take it off. Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Falco. I represent the 8th Ward in Oneonta, which is the downtown district. My husband and I are also business owners. We own Roots Public Social Club on Main Street, and we own that building. We're also landlords. So I started on Common Council in 2022 when the mayor took office. He needed someone to step into the role. So I was appointed for my first year, and then I ran last year, right, to serve this year. Right, yeah. Really, I don't consider myself a politician at all. I really don't like party politics at all, and I don't believe that they should exist in local government, so that's why I'm running as an independent on the Oneonta Upward Party. Really, the reason why I am involved and want to continue to be involved is because I want to be able to represent the people of Oneonta and help our community in the best ways that we can. And I want to give our taxpayers adequate representation in the decisions being made at City Hall. I'm also an Oneonta native. I grew up here, and I left for a little while and came back in 2018. I don't know. I don't have much else to say other than, I just really love and care about this community, and I want to hopefully make it prosper, and yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Emily. So the next thing that I'd like to do is just open it up for question and answer. Before I do that, though, I do just want to very quickly read the statement that Cecilia Walsh-Rousseau had sent. Again, she was sick this evening and sends her regrets, though I think she acknowledges that in her statement. So this is from Cecilia. She says, thank you to the Hartwick Institute for Public Service for sponsoring tonight's event. This is a wonderful opportunity to bring our community together, and I'm sorry I'm not able to attend due to illness. Perhaps my first act of public service is not bringing germs to you all tonight. In this brief statement, I would like to briefly touch on what I would like to accomplish as a member of Oneonta City Council, particularly in my first 3 months in office. First, I am a longtime resident of the city of Oneonta, as well as Ward 2, and our daughter currently attends Oneonta Middle School. My husband and I met here, so we owe Oneonta quite a bit. As future council member, I see 3 major concerns that need to be tackled with urgency: housing, economic development of our downtown, and climate action planning. In meeting with many neighbors throughout Ward 2, housing emerged as a top concern for residents, meeting the housing needs of our city and wider community in terms of providing a greater variety of housing, single-family homes, working on converting empty houses into viable housing for families, working to perhaps convert unused student housing into much-needed housing for families. I would like to explore new initiatives through county and state grants to help meet the housing needs of our community. The unhoused in Oneonta also remain a challenge. I learned recently of the city of Northampton, Massachusetts, a slightly smaller city than Oneonta, created a Department of Community Care to help with their growing homeless population. The department is staffed with social workers and medical professionals to help direct individuals to needed service. I would like to consider the possibility for development of a similar office for Oneonta. Cecilia also notes the revitalization of our beautiful downtown, including Main Street, remains an ongoing challenge that Mayor Drenick and current council members are tackling. In my first months in office, I would like to learn from small cities and villages throughout New York State who have seen success in building vibrancy through their local businesses. For example, Fairport, New York, which has seen remarkable success in transforming their Main Street with shops and businesses. Applying best practice strategies and programs would be a priority during my first month in office. And then finally, Cecilia just notes that Oneonta is special and in many ways beautiful community. As the climate changes, our city and larger community need to develop strategies for meeting the challenge of our increasingly unpredictable weather to retain our natural beauty and local businesses. I would work to form partnerships and collaborate with city, county, and state leaders to learn what needs to be accomplished to help Oneonta continue to be a vibrant and resilient community. And so with that, we can certainly just turn it over to questions from our audience. So again, if you'd like to ask a question of any or all of the Oneonta Common Council members or candidates, feel free to write that down on a note card. Just hold it up. One of our students can collect it. Or we also have a microphone as well too that we can pass around. We would, though, like to start a new Hartwick Institute of Public Service tradition tonight, which is to say we would like to reserve at least the first question for one of our students. Do we have any of our students that would like to ask a question of the Common Council members? Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jada.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming tonight. So my question is directed to anybody if you want to answer. So what are some things the Oneonta Common Council could do to keep young college students, specifically students of color, in Oneonta post-graduation?
Thanks so much, Jada. And I would just say, obviously, we might not have time for everyone to address all of the questions that are going to be asked. We would certainly like anyone that wants to address it to do so. But if we can just try and keep our responses brief, and then if anyone is unable to address a question, we certainly want to prioritize others who had not had it for any of the following questions. Sure, Lynn and Katie.
Well, Jada, first, thank you for being brave enough to be the first one to ask a question. That's usually the icebreaker, and hopefully more students will follow through on this. That's a great question. That is the reason why I started this initiative with Hartwick College, because you're in the 5th Ward, of making that connection between campus and the community. And that's why we're meeting once a month. This is just starting, and I'm hoping that it'll grow organically, having more students, having more input. But that's a very important question to be answered by the students. What is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for student housing, or graduate housing, we should say, off campus? Are you looking for job placements? What type of jobs are you looking for? What involvement in the community do you want to have while you're here, whether it's a year to 4 years? So those are the questions that I'm asking, and I'm looking for answers. So it's more about you telling me what you're looking for, rather than me saying, well, this is what we have to offer. Because, you know, I've been in this community for several years. I know a few people, so if it's about job placement, we might be able to do something like that. Okay?
Thanks, Lynn. Yes, I know Katie wanted to address that question.
Yeah, I would definitely like to address that, since that's my why, as Emily put it. So living where I live in the community, I've seen a disconnect for sure, especially I think in the last, and so that's why I ran, but especially since COVID, right? Like, people are less apt to talk to each other if they don't know each other. There was obviously the kind of major outbreak on student campus of COVID at that time. And I think that just to be transparent, caused a rift between, folks and their trust of the campus communities. And I've seen the relationship between students who are student residents and, locals ebb and flow over years. But I think that it really comes down to connecting while you're here as a student, making you feel like part of the community. So when I was out pre-COVID and I was out campaigning, oh my gosh, I only have 2 minutes. It goes so fast. I remember knocking on every single door. And one interaction with a student really stood out to me. I said, are you interested in local government and what goes on? And she said to me, no, I'm only here for 6 months out of the year. And in my brain, right, I was like, well, that's half the year, but I know that a lot of the mentality is this is just temporary. And we have a lot of work to do. I agree with Len that I want it to be, really student-led. And I think that involves getting more student voices to say, this will make us feel at home. This will make us feel welcome. Because I think that really, once we can do that, we kind of can extend that olive branch. I think there's a mutual respect that flows there. But I agree. I think, understanding what would keep students in the community. I know housing is a place where we're deficient. I know economic opportunity is a place where we're deficient. And I know even just that entertainment, aside from like bars, is lacking. There isn't always a ton of fun stuff to do. So, really focusing on those things. And I think that should be driven by the people that we want to consider our town home. But it really starts, I think, with helping you all feel like you're already part of the community, and you're already our neighbors, because then, you're at home and you want to stay. So that's kind of the work that I want to continue doing.
Thanks so much, Katie. Yes, Sean, would you like to address that question?
I know you mentioned something of color. My wife is Nigerian from West Africa. I met her here, and we got married. I met her in 2000, we got married in 2002. We were friends for a year, but I don't know what you guys study in college, but we're open, and we've hired 8 people out of Oneonta Job Corps, most of them from New York City, and they were Jamaican and they were other of color. They're not with us now, but they learned the trades, what we do, and we don't have currently, we have other nationalities, but we're connected, and we spoke, my wife and I, last Monday at SUNY Oneonta to a group, and we, over the years, have adopted, students come into our house, Super Bowl parties. We had a girl that graduated from China, and but she lives in New York City with her parents, and I remember Romano, I think she was Latino, but different nationalities, not just of color, but we adopt one boy and one girl, students, boy and girl, every year. And that's why we speak at their groups when they invite us to at a college, just if they need a ride, if they need, so they don't have to take the bus to Walmart, we take them out to lunch. We've done that, and we're colorblind. My wife and I dated, before I married my wife, I dated white girls, but I also dated women of color and a Mexican girl. But we really want to know what you all want to be able to be welcome here. We welcome all. And we rented to, I think we had 6 girls from Mexico. They said it was cheaper to go to college in SUNY Oneonta than in their country. But they spoke English fluently. But we actually want to hear. So we should open that opportunity, what you guys need. We don't have anybody at Job Corps. We're trying to hire like 5 people. Since 2020, we went from 15 employees to 5, and we'd like to get back up to 10 or 15. But Job Corps has nobody to offer. And the other college in Delhi, they don't have anybody in the trades right now that want to stay local. And we did hire out of Delhi once. And after working for us 4 years, he started his own company. He's got 3 employees. But I, helped him how to do his estimates, how to succeed in business. And we had another gentleman that worked for us for about 5 years, a man of color, and he started his own company. But they've moved away, like to Rochester or bigger cities. But the ones that want to stay local, this is a great place to raise a family. I started in school in Cooperstown. I moved here in 2nd grade, And I had a job at the factory, FN Rigid Box Factory. I was doing construction, but during the winter, work slowed down, I got laid off, and I didn't want to collect unemployment. So I went to the box factory, talking about bringing businesses back. I'm an employer now, but we need to bring opportunities for people that want to stay here, raise their family. We just moved back. We lived in Franklin, but we just moved back to town because of the foster children we have, the opportunity in the city. And we want to welcome all, but we want to hear what you guys need.
Thanks, Sean. Do we have other questions from the audience? Oh, Michael, I see. And I would just ask our candidates, maybe again, just to give more folks an opportunity to respond, if we could maybe just limit responses just to 2 minutes max.
All right. Carolina, I'm from Texas. And obviously, as I'm from Texas, I don't usually see so many people different from the demographic I'm used to. And I heard you guys speak a lot about diversity. And given that you also want to hear from us, and I'm going to be here the next 4 years of my life. I'm going to be studying political science, and I really want to know more about diversity, be a little bit more included, because it's really difficult to find other people with the same views as I do or with the same background as I do. And I really want to is there any opportunities where there's I don't know, main events in Main Street or something where I can go with my friends and I can help them see a glimpse of my culture, that I don't have a limited amount of money. I can't just host an entire party and show them Mexican food, because as much as I'd love that, I can't do that. So I just want to know how can there be more diversity shown, and if there is a lot opportunities to see that diversity here, that could also help with vibrancy and showing other aspects of culture and tying it together, because it's really difficult as minorities to see in some places that we stereotype as not minority friendly. So I guess that would help.
Yes, absolutely. Please take it away, Bryce.
All right. If you could hear me, sorry with the mic. I'm thinking about that all the time. So that's why I love your question. I think the biggest thing is, and I have some members from the NAACP, hello, I see. The biggest thing, and that's what I'm really working on and want to continue through Oneonta, but specific programming that I've been thinking about and working with a lot of colleagues at the college and the community right now we have, even on SUNY Oneonta's campus, we have a Center for Social and Racial Justice on campus that is now going to be promoted, and has been, I think we need to do a better job, that is for Hartwick students, Oneonta students, and community. So having a space where as a student at Hartwick, I know it's a little bit far away, but you can come to our campus and we have events that we can celebrate. Hispanic Heritage Month we had we were celebrating that. We have a lot of different events where you can be who you want to be and learn also about other cultures. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've been thinking about. Well, how do we translate to Main Street, right? How do we make that consistency? Through the NAACP, we did an event last year. Of course, it was really cold because it was February, but it was, I'm really glad that we still did it, was for Black History Month. We had a block party on Main Street that we got the hand warmers, we had jump rope, we had a lot of students who helped volunteer during that event. And that's consistency. That's creating that culture where, wow, I came to college here to learn, but I also have a community that embraces, what I believe in, what other cultures believe in, right? So I think bringing that together, I want to do a good job of helping with City Council to create programming that gives those opportunities for our community members and for our college community members.
Thanks so much, Bryce.
Briefly, so actually I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. My dad was going to Texas Christian University, but my family's all from Oneonta, so when he graduated, we moved back here. But my wife is on the Otsego County Board because she's Nigerian, and she's on the diversity, equity, inclusion part, so I get a lot of her Zoom calls and connections there. But Mexico, I love Mexico. Been there more times than any other country. Even though I've been to Nigeria 6 times since I got married, I've been to Mexico about 8. 1981 was my first mission trip. I was there for 6 weeks. And 2001 was my last mission trip. I went to Mexico, from Acapulco to Cancun and Aroapan and Monterrey. I don't remember all the other, Lázaro Cárdenas, but we did a lot of work down there with Mexicans. And what was your name again? Carolina? Well, we should probably talk later, but we like to throw Nigerian parties and Mexican parties too, but we still want to hear what you guys need. When my wife and I first got married, we were so poor we didn't have a computer. And we would come here to this Hartwick, because we're part of Oneonta, we could use the library, and we would print and use the computer for emails and everything. And sometimes we'd go to SUNY because the library was open later there. But she came here on a student visa. We got married, and she couldn't get a green card or become a citizen for 5 years, but she was able to start working, and she's the president of our company now, with my company 2 years after our marriage. So we didn't have much money. We couldn't even afford our rent. My wife worked for the landlord to pay rent. But we started from nothing and built what we have now, and we are thankful for the hard work, and that's what I want to see, opportunities, whether people want to stay here or you're only going to be here for 4 years and succeed as you go on, but we want that connection. And a lot of these people we're still connecting with, the families, like I told you, the girl from China and the other that have moved out of state, we're still connecting with them. And we'd like to see what we can do to make everybody part of this community and what Common Council can do to help.
So I absolutely want to make sure that all of our candidates had an opportunity to address this that wanted to. I definitely wanted, certainly though, Emily as well as Dan to have an opportunity since they haven't addressed a question yet.
Yeah, so going on the opportunity angle of all of this, so I actually attended SUNY Oneonta. That's where I went to college. I grew up in Oneonta, and I'm only 35, so it's still relatively fresh in my mind, remembering when I graduated, what some of my friends, why basically they didn't want to stick around, and that was basically because of a lack of opportunity. And I think if we can work to reverse some of these trends that are going on with the city, we're not going to do everything possible to change everything economically just with the city government. There's a lot that has to be handled from the state and from the federal end of things too. But locally, there's a lot that we can do to basically make it as attractive as possible so that when students are graduating, they don't have that incentive to want to just go back to their hometown or wherever they came from. They actually, oh, well, I had a really good time here at SUNY Oneonta or at Hartwick College. I would like to continue just living here and working here. So if we can develop a plan to reduce the burden of the city on its existing residents and to make it more attractive for new residents, I think that would bring in a host of diverse people, because it would just be attractive on all ends, and we could, see all kinds of new businesses flourish downtown and in other areas of the city. One area I would like to see tapped into is Center City, because there's currently, the way the zoning is, most of Center City, you can't open up like a corner deli or anything like that anymore. The ones that do exist are grandfathered in, but if someone, say, graduated, they wanted to open up a business, it's very difficult for someone to do that, especially if they're, if they don't have a lot of economic startup to begin with. It would serve the city and its residents to make regulations a little bit more easier to provide those opportunities. So that's all I got.
Thanks so much. Emily?
Sure. Hey, so I just wanted to give a little bit of clarification as far as the role of what City Council does and its role in community events. So the city doesn't really directly sponsor any particular event. Like, people come to the City Council and ask if they can put their host their event, have their event on Main Street, for example, and then the city will provide necessary things for that, like to facilitate the street closure, cops in place and barricades and all that kind of thing. So that being said, I have never, in my experience, seen a council refuse anybody any event. So we welcome events. I want it, as a downtown person, like I want to see more stuff on Main Street. And then that being said, I just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of let you all know about the Oneonta Community Initiative grants that are available through the city. They are small. It's up to $1,000, but you can, if you have an idea for some kind of community oriented project or event or something anywhere in Oneonta, you can apply for these grants to fund your event or your project. So for example, I got together with the director of the Historical Society and we applied for one to put lights in the alleyway. You know that little alleyway that's over kind of like off of Deed Street, to kind of like brighten that space and make it more of a community space. And now there's like a pop-up art event happening there once a month. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Emily. And Don, did I see your hand up? Did you want to? Okay, great, great. So let me preface this statement by saying that we have plenty more time for all of you all's questions. Again, following the formal portion of this event, we'll be having a reception where I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to speak with our candidates in a more informal setting. But for this portion of the event, I think we probably do have time for maybe one more question if there is one from the audience.
This is going to be probably the hardest question of the night right now.
Would you like to see more youth, which is under 18, participate in city, not college government? If so, how would you make it work?
I do want to, absolutely. Yes, Scott, please.
Only because I haven't answered a question yet, and I feel like I need to. So the first part of your question was youth and what? Absolutely. Great question. So I think everybody should have a voice, whether you can vote or you can't vote. I think part of trying to keep people in the city of Oneonta has to start at a younger age. And we have to, because a lot of things that I heard is we don't offer enough for the younger people. And on the same token, we don't offer enough for our college students in that population of mid-20s to 30s. So yes, I would like to see more involvement. I've had a pleasure of speaking at a couple participation in government classes at the high school level. And I would like to see more of us get out into our local schools. I'd like to see the council get out more into local schools, not the mayor, but the council. Because the council, we need to hear all the ideas so we know we're making the right decisions. Not just for 2 years down the road, but for 5, 7, 10. You know, we have to start looking at the long range portion of the city, and it actually starts with the youth and what they need. And the reason why I jumped all over this question is because I have a 9-year-old and I have a 17-year-old, and we get into political discussions at my house all the time. And I always tell them, write your council member, show up to a council meeting. You have a voice there. You can come up and you can talk to us. You get about, I think the mayor allows 3 to 4 minutes for you to talk. And everybody deserves a voice in government, no matter what the age is. How would I like to see it work? I like to see you guys write to us. I would like to see, we have a correspondence section. I like to see that come in, and so we can hear what's going on. If you're unhappy, part of the 6th Ward, I have Knee-Wall Park. If there's something you want to see in that park, I'd be more than happy to get to it and try to push that forward. So I think that's a great question. I think, yes, everybody deserves a voice into our local government.
Thanks so much, Scott. Don, yeah, would you like an opportunity to address that question?
Yeah, I think that actually everybody should be involved. Your freedom of speech doesn't just start when you turn 18. You can voice any complaints. I mean, You should have more going on for the youth of this community and not just taking away from them. Like when we closed down that basketball hoop, because we didn't want to hear their voices because they were too loud, obnoxious, and complaints. We've always done our way to stifle the voices of the youth, and it is very, very sad to see that. And I would love to see more of a community program, even at the school level, to try to get more kids involved in the school to then actually write to the city council, write to the mayor, staff, and so on and so forth, to actually more eject your guys' voices and actually band more together. And maybe, like, again, I know that you might not want to do it, but maybe other friends of yours and stuff like that can get together in your schools and actually make like a political, like a local government club, and you guys can talk about things that you guys see and then bring that up. Like, I don't know, maybe you don't like seeing the strange man talking to himself on your corner. And that's something that you guys can voice your opinions about.
Thanks, Don. Are there any other? Yes, Katie, please.
Thank you. I love your question. I'm a little bummed that it wasn't what's my favorite dinosaur, but I really appreciate how thoughtful your question is. Civic engagement is huge for me. I used to go with my mom to see her vote, and back then it was a lot cooler because you got to like flip a Chad and do this thing, and the curtain went behind you, and it was so cool, and it had such a lasting impression on me. And I try to take my son with me, but filling in bubbles with Sharpies doesn't quite have like the same impact, but you do get a sticker, so that's good. So I just wanted to address a couple of things. One is, I think that right now in city government, we do actually have a couple of cool things that we're working on with regard to like school age, I'll just say kids. One is a creek naming project, which I think maybe got a little bit stalled, but the idea was to name some of our tributaries to the Susquehanna River. Oh my gosh, it goes so fast. And everyone, and the group that was responsible for that was reaching out to all the schools in order to get ideas. Also, I served briefly as the liaison to the Public Arts Commission, and we had talked about doing some public art installations that would involve school-age kids as well. So I think that keeping this has to be led by us, right? Like, we have to say, come in, come help us. We want your ideas. I know our mayor did a letter writing campaign, like why I love Oneonta. I thought that was very cool. And just to give a shout out to the schools, I do, full disclosure, work for Oneonta City School District, but there are, student governments, and anything in that club organizational structure is going to have, a president, vice president, treasurer. All of that is really great exposure to the way that city government works. But I think, just recognizing that City Hall is the people's building, and if you ever want to come, like, the chairs are uncomfortable, it's kind of boring, but we are there to listen to everybody. So it would be great. It would be great to see more young kids take an interest. Okay, that's it.
Thanks so much, Katie. Maybe if there are any other candidates, maybe one or two that would like to respond to that. Sure, Lynn.
You sure? Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for your question. It's not just coming to City Hall. It's voicing your concern on any medium. It's letting us know that we're doing the job or we're not doing the job, but it's about inclusion. So my fellow candidates up here are correct. It's about hearing your voice. It's like the young lady in the back. Is it brick and mortar that creates a cultural center? I don't know what you're looking for, so this is that part of give and take that hopefully we're going to figure out, creating that community to campus or campus to community connection. And so Scott is right. We should have more time as council members to the school, and maybe that's on my part as council member for the 5th Ward. I should have went to Greater Plains on a more regular basis. So thank you very much for raising that concern.
Dan, did you want to address that as well?
Just how old are you? You're 9? I just wanted to get an idea because I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I just wanted to know what age I'm going to be expecting sophisticated questions like this. I think it's very important for anyone who's interested in government and politics, whether you're 5 years old or 50 years old or 100 years old, you should get involved. If you ever have any concerns about anything that's going on in the city, whatever you see, tell your parents, tell your teachers, come to the meetings if you can. I know you're probably very busy with school and all your other activities that I'm sure you're into. But if you can fit it in, definitely do that, because you're fundamentally the reason why we're here. It's because we're trying to make it better for future generations. And without your input, it's very difficult for us to know what direction to navigate. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Dan. So I think that can conclude the first portion of our evening. Again, we will invite everyone to please stay, enjoy some appetizers, and enjoy some additional conversation with all of the candidates. So before we do that, before we get some appetizers, I would just like to invite everyone to please go vote for your Oneonta Common Council members next Tuesday, November 7th. And I also just wanted to note that we will have a shuttle service on campus for anyone who would like a ride to the polling place at Foothills Performing Arts Center. We'll also be having a Democracy and Donuts event as well too. So come get a warm beverage, get a donut, take some photos with your I voted stickers. We hope to see everyone there. So thank you all so much for coming, and please join me in thanking our candidates as well.